Everyone in crypto is confused on what strategies to follow, but today I'm going to cover exactly, and also at the end I'll tell what I do for myself. So pay attention because it's going to be so important. So you got two strategies. The first one is active and the second one is passive. So what I mean with active, active is when you actually go and you focus all your time, energy, and betting on the next big thing. Next big thing is always new emerging tech. Like for example, what happened in 2020? We saw DeFi, we saw NFTs, right? All those new emerging tech were actually you going and chasing the next big thing, right? But the problems, basically every strategy got its own pros and cons. But to understand it better, this is the active. The passive is more established trend. So what can happen, right? On established trend, it means that you focus your time and energy in things that have worked at the beginning, and you pick something either better than them or comparably nearly same like them, right? So we have seen that in crypto, we have seen that most of the time things that are good coexist together. For example, layer ones. How many layer ones we got? We got Cardano, we got Solana, we got Phantom. All of them, we got Avax. All of them did over 100x. So you didn't need to bet on next big thing. You just have to bet on one a thing that have worked in the past and just focus on that. Now, this is all what passive is about, and this is all what active is about. Now, I'm going to cover now what are basically the best, and because everything got its own pros and cons. At the end, I'm going to share my strategy. So, pros and cons, because active is has pros and cons, and passive has pros and cons, like every single thing, every single strategy. So, again, to give you a clear demonstration, what is active? Active is right now, for example, you going and focusing what's hot right now. It's AI, real world assets, or what BlackRock is talking, right? Or this deep in technology. These might be the next big thing, but you don't know right now because we are kind of seeing the moves, but still it's not an established trend. For example, AI, you might argue and might say that Nvidia is pumping most of those coins, and it in an essence is kind of right, because most of the projects on AI and crypto at the current moment are not really good. They're mostly pumping due to hype, and it's not an established trend like, let's say, DeFi. When you focus on DeFi right now, it's more onto the passive strategy, because you know that DeFi is more established trend. You got layer ones, you got DEXs, you got lending platforms. It means that it's something that is working. So this is a demonstration what is basically an active strategy, where you focus on betting all your resources on the next big thing. And this is what passive is, when you actually find an established trend and find the best out there and find something that is better than the things that work. So for example, again, another demonstration, you got Uniswap, which is a DEX for Ethereum. It did over 100x. Then what happened? You could have picked PancakeSwap, which is the DEX from BNB, still did over 100x. You could have picked the DEX for Solana, Radium, which did some good gains. You could have picked another DEX for, I don't know, for another layer one chain, right? For example, for Phantom and all of this type of stuff, or for you could have been focused more on DOT. So if you see, for example, Polkadot, Avalanche, Cardano, what else, Solana, and some other layer one chains like Matic, they're kind of, I'm not saying the same, but they're not solving any, they're not an emerging tech. They're not something that is going to be the next big thing or stuff like that. They're just same thing, but with more improvements, with better tech. So you don't need here to bet on the next big thing. Now, let's go to the pros and cons. We go with active strategy first. Active strategy, it's so juicy, it's so good, because, and all love to do this because it gives you some quick money. Because when you're more active into the market, you're basically betting all your resources on the next big thing. You capture so much opportunities, and you got like a dopamine hit here, because you actually always constantly doing stuff. And you know that people love to do stuff in crypto. They think that the more buttons they click, the more successful they get, but this is not true 100% all the time. So this is the pros about this strategy. It can make you some quick money, but of course, when you know what you're doing. Now, here are the problems, because problems are something that a lot of people don't calculate. A lot of people suffer from shiny object syndrome. They hear a story from a friend that made some millions on this coin or a meme coin, and they jump there. So they don't do this calculation, which I'm doing that for you right now. The problems with active strategy is because you got a weak research process. Why? Because when you research so much stuff, your focus is lost, and the research process when you do so much stuff, it's weak, because you can't research for 10 coins in a week or even more than that. Because to bet on the next big thing, you have to research constantly, and you have to be in many ups and downs, and you have to try so many stuff in order to know what works and what doesn't, and what can be big. Because you can't bet if you buy 2-3 coins and bet, yeah, this is going to be big. You have to constantly do research process, and this is good in a way, because it kind of opens your horizon. But again, your research process is weak, because you got no focus. You just jump on a different stuff. You have to be quick. Let's say today you research a coin, in an hour another coin gets launched, and you want to buy that, then you lose your focus on the first research process that you were doing. So this is stuff that you don't actually understand and calculate right now. But from a guy that I've tried both, I'll tell you later on what is the best. So more failures. This is another thing that a lot of people don't calculate. When you be active into the market, you'll have more failures, because the more you buy, the more you'll fail. And this is what a lot of people don't get. For example, what happened with NFTs in 2021? A lot of people make crazy money, right? But a lot of people don't actually say how much they lost at the beginning. That NFTs had most of the rugs and most of the scams. That's what people didn't calculate back then. Because you gotta understand that scammers target new emerging tech, because they know that money is there, they know that focus is there, and they actually launch also most of the scams, most of the rug pulls, most of the failure projects, just to attract your money. So when you bet on the next big thing, you gotta understand that you will have so much losses, and those so much losses bring you so much stress, because you're always in this change of emotions. You go in a roller coaster. You win one day, another week you lose, then another week you win. So you're constantly in emotional roller coaster, which it affects you a lot mentally, because it affects your research process. So you gotta understand all the pros and cons on active, because there are so much disadvantages to this strategy that a lot of people don't calculate, which they harm you a lot. Now let me jump into the passive. Passive is more a well-established trend, and in my own opinion is better, but if you do at the right time of the bull run, which I'm going to cover later again. So passive give less stress. These are the good points. Because you don't need to actually be 24/7 in the charts. You don't need to do read 100 white papers, to watch a ton of YouTube videos. You just need to navigate through the market, look to what worked before, and try to find something that is better than that in the same ecosystem. That's it. For example, you saw what Ethereum did, you could have picked Solana. You saw what Solana did, you could have picked Phantom. You saw what Uniswap did, you could have picked PancakeSwap. You saw what other, for example, lending platforms did. You could have picked another lending platform on another chain. Or you saw, for example, what Doge did. You could have picked SHIB. Or you saw what SHIB did. You could have picked another meme coin on Solana, like that was Dog with Hat. So you kind of see that the pattern is always repeating. And this is a good part when you join on passive stuff, because if a trend is well established and it is good, the pattern will repeat. Now, it's not necessarily all the time, but most of the time it repeats. So it gives you less stress, because you don't need to be constantly researching. And the best thing here is that you have a good research process, because you got much more focus, you know what to do, you have a game plan, you have a strategy, right? And your focus is way better than when you research 100 coins. It's like building businesses. How you gonna feel more focused, and how you gonna get more results when you have 5 businesses, or when you focus all your time and energy on one business? So everyone knows that one business is better in terms of focus and doing most of the money, right? This is the same type of attitude you have to do with crypto. Now, the problem with passive is that you might have less gains compared to this active, because when you bet on the next big thing and you actually bet that right, and you actually win. So let's say, for example, you pick Solana last cycle, you could have done over 250x, or you picked an NFT like Bored Ape Club. Right now is down like crazy, but anyway, you had the possibility to make the money. You could have made a ton more money. Here you probably might make a little bit less money, and you might also miss trends, because you might be kind of too late or stuff like that. But again, this is your choice, and it doesn't necessarily mean that here it will be a big difference. Now, the goal in crypto is to make it. I don't think after you make 50x or 100x, you'll get too much greedy and say, oh, I wish I could have done 500x. Now, again, this will happen because in crypto, you'll never be happy with what you achieve. You'll always say, even if you do a 50x, you'll say, oh, I wish I did 100x. Even if you do 100x, there's another guy that did 1000x. So the goal is to not chase the money because you'll never be happy from your moves. Now, here I'm going to reveal my strategy, what would be the best, so hear me carefully. Now, my strategy is simple. I prefer 70 passive, 30% active. Now, this is very important, so listen to this carefully. This strategy is the best when you apply at the beginning stage of the bull run. What I mean with this? So, when you focus at the beginning of the bull run, you know that Bitcoin pumps first and most of the major coins pumps first. So at the beginning, it's hard for new emerging tech or to have signs of new emerging tech. So in my own opinion, what I do for myself is I like to focus on well-established trend and pick the best stuff out there. So for example, I can focus on a DEX on a new chain I like, one random example, or I can focus on a lending platform on a new chain I like, or I can focus on another layer 1 chain, or I can focus on another layer 2, for example, because either layer 2s are working, right? We kind of see a lot of them. Not having too much gains, but anyway. So at the beginning, you need 70% passive, 30% active. I don't believe going all in something all the time because you can do that, but you're gonna miss out. If you do active, you say, oh, but I'm so much stress, I made money, I don't enjoy it, I could have made a little bit less but have less stress here, so I would love passive. If you do passive, you might miss NFTs, like stuff like that, kind of emerging tech, and you'll be like, oh shit, I missed this, so I have to do that, and you'll never be happy. So the best thing is to do this strategy. Now listen to me carefully. Why this strategy changes all the time? Because right now at the stage of the bull run, we're on, let me calculate the stage of the bull run. We go from bottom here to top here, it's like 1057 days, right? Now let's go from here to here, we are like 630 days. So we got like 500 days left, stuff like that. So at this current environment, still I would actually focus most of my time and energy on the 70% passive, because for the reason that BTC dominance is still not down. So the altcoins rally hasn't yet properly started. So how you can change all of this strategy is based on the stage of the bull run and if the alt season has came, right? Because this active works the best when alt season is, because when alt season is, altcoins go like crazy. But if you apply, let's say at the beginning stage of the bull run, you apply here and you go active, you're gonna probably lose most of your money, and it's not worth it, because you're just gonna see major coins going up while you just try to buy here, buy this, buy that, small caps, and they don't move, because that's how money flows into crypto. So you gotta understand something. At the bottom, the best move that you need to do at the bottom is to not take dumb risk. What I mean with dumb risk? Dumb risk is at the bottom you should protect your capital as soon as possible. Sorry, as much as possible, because you don't need to play with capital at the bottom, because at the bottom you got the chances to do a 50x on a safe coin. So why you need to actually blow that money on some random coin? That's what a lot of people don't get. Cardano, I remember last cycle did 80x, and it was on its second cycle, I think. Yeah, it was on its second cycle, confirm if I'm wrong, but anyway, and it was a well-established trend and still did 80x. So what is better, 80x on a well-established coin that is passive and you actually know how it can go because it got an history and track record, or 80x on something that you have no idea about, like NFTs? So this is what people don't get at the bottom, at the start of the bull run. Don't play with your money, be smart with it. At the beginning you need well-established coins, and you actually do the best research and you actually pick the right stuff. You don't need to bet hard at the beginning of the bull run, because it's like buying meme coins at the beginning of the bull run. It's all bullshit, because a lot of people say, yeah, but I lost money, I'm gonna make it again, I'm gonna put more. The problem that a lot of people don't get is that the winner's mentality is not, oh, I lost money and I'm gonna learn. This is good, I get it, I also lost money to learn. The problem is that the money that you lose here, you probably could have 50x that, and you didn't miss, let's say you wanted to put $1,000, you didn't lose $1,000. you lose 50K. That's how you gotta think. That's why you gotta be very well calculated when you buy things at the beginning stage of the bull run. Now, what can happen? Next year in 2025, we'll see altcoins going up. Now, this strategy here, next year for myself will adjust. Now, I will have those passive things, but I will focus mostly more on active, because I know when alt season comes, we can make some quick money by betting on some good tech or on some good trend. So again, this should all change based on the time here. It's not, this is what I do for myself. Again, don't take this for granted. This is my personal strategy and what I do for myself. So that's what I did also in 2021. For example, on 2021, I remember gaming was big back then. So I went into gaming sector, and I actually bought, I saw, for example, I remember back then the major coins were like Sandbox and Decentraland. When Sandbox and Decentraland pumped like let's say in a day over 50%, for a few days constantly, it kind of showed me a rally that gaming project could do. So what I've done, I went and bought some really good gaming project, but in really small market caps that just launched that bear market, right? That cycle basically. And that's how I made some quick money. But again, this requires so much action. This requires you to be so much active into the market. This requires you to have a better cash out strategy, because here you can't hodl for too long, because if the hype is over, then you're going to lose money quick. On the passive, it's kind of different, right? For example, you saw how AI projects were pumping like crazy at the beginning of this year. Now they're kind of small, they're kind of dropping a little bit. No one cares anymore. When Nvidia and probably AI gets a little bit more hype, they're gonna fly like crazy, and that's where you need to catch. So you gotta jump from buying, selling, and yeah. But again, passive at the beginning is the best, and if you don't have passive, establish it first. I wouldn't jump on active. So let's say if you don't have, let's say 70% of your capital invested in core coins which you believe the most, then you don't need to play this game of roller coaster when you jump in one thing, then you jump on another thing. It's all bullshit, because most of the money in crypto is always made when you buy something at the bottom and you ride it to the top. You can trade for the whole bull run, and I can make more money than you just by buying the right altcoins. Solana did 250x in 9 months. Congratulations if you traded for those 9 months. I'll give you whatever capital and still you'll not outperform what Solana did. It's 250x. It's crazy. That's why I'm saying that you gotta be smart with it, and hope you learn from this. And don't forget to subscribe to my free newsletter, and I'm gonna share more awesome content.